You want to make sure that number one, it's on the books, right? It's in your calendar, it's scheduled. Your live event, your live conversion event is scheduled. At least one. I always recommend for my clients to always have two live events scheduled on your calendar at all times, right? Alrighty. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to bring this message to you today. Today, I want to talk to you about the 5 essential business activities that yield you the highest return. Okay. I call them the 5 C's, the 5 C's. And hopefully you have a pen and paper and you're writing this down. And if not, thank goodness. Thank goodness for technology, right? You can always come back and listen to the episode and rewatch the episode. Okay. So there are a lot of things that we can do in business. There are a lot of things that need to be done in and for our businesses. But I will say, sometimes some of those things are distractions. Sometimes some of those things are distractions. And by that, I mean, I have conversations every day with clinicians who tell me that, they need to work on their website. And I say, no, you don't. No, you don't. Unless creating websites are, within your zone of genius, I do not recommend that you work on your own website. I recommend you hiring that out and allowing someone whose zone of genius that is to go ahead and finish that project for you. Why? Why? Because, the number one, they love to do it, right? If that's their zone of genius, they love to do it. And then number two, they're going to do it quicker, faster, easier, more efficiently than you can because that is their zone of genius, right? So let's get you focused back on your zone of genius. Let's get you back focused on impacting people's health, which of course ultimately impacts their life. Okay. So that being said, 5 things that are going to help you create quantum leaps. And if you guys know me and my brand, my company, I'm always talking about quantum leaps because they're fun and because that's exactly what I believe in, right? Incremental steps are fun. They're fun, right? Not to be discarded. They're fun, but quantum leaping is even more fun. So let's just be clear. So the first thing that you're going to want to make sure that you're doing, particularly if you're just starting out, and honestly, this holds true no matter where you are in business, to be quite honest, but it's content. Content is king, right? Content is how you build your know, like, and trust factor with your ideal client. Okay. And you want to have compelling content. This is one of the things that you're going to be doing every single day until you're at a point where you can hire it out, right? Delegate it to a team member. And I know a lot of you, when I said that, you may have groaned. You're like, oh my God. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Allow that, really allow that to spur you forward so that you can increase your revenue so that you can hire it out if it's not something that you love to do. Okay. There are people who love to create content and they're wonderful. They're wonderful at creating compelling content. They'll create it in your brand voice, but until you determine what your brand's voice actually is, right? Your opinion, your perspective, your point of view, and how that correlates to your program promise, right? What qualifies your lead or prospect and elevating the urgency that causes your prospect to make a buying decision. Those are things that only you can make. Okay, those are decisions that only you can make. You can't delegate that to someone else until you yourself are clear on those elements. Okay, so until then, you're the one. You're the one who gets to do it. Until you're clear and you're able to really articulate that to someone else and hire a team member or like I said, delegate that out who can do that for you. Okay. Until then, you're the one, and it's all good. Okay. So let's not make it overcomplicated. Let's keep it really simple. You guys know me, I'm all about simple, right? So as you're creating content, and remember, you are the content. Let's not forget that. You are the content. What you're doing in your everyday life, you are the content. All right. I really want you to focus on that. And honestly, if you had a camera and you followed yourself around throughout the whole day, you'd have so much content. It'd be ridiculous, right? You wouldn't even know what to do with all of it. So remember, all of your content needs to have a purpose. It needs to have a purpose. And I want to make it even more simple for you. Super simple. 4 things as it relates to your content. Okay. People are on social media for 4 reasons and 4 reasons alone. 1, they want to be entertained. We know that, right? They want to be entertained, or they want to be empowered, or they want to be educated, or they want to be engaged with. That's it. That's it. So again, really, really simple. Pick a category and go for it. And all of your content, like, well, you need to rotate through all four of these pieces of content or these types of content. Okay. So they're wanting to be entertained, empowered, educated, or engaged with. You guys, you're brilliant. You're freaking brilliant. You have everything here and you have so much here. All right. So educate them on what it is that you do, and not only what it is that you do, but educate them on like the behind the scenes, if you will, like the why. So for instance, what I mean by that is, yes, I'm going to educate people as to what I do as a holistic health coach. Yes, you're going to do that, right? But also I'm going to educate them about the importance of, let's say, stress management. We'll just take that for instance. It could be anything. If you gut, it could be gut health. It could be anything. But let's just say stress management or stress reduction. Okay, for today's example. And so it's not only about, you singularly and what it is that you do from a business perspective. Okay. And for goodness sake, let me just say this because it's coming up for me to say. If you're posting, if all that you're posting is come work with me, hey, come work with me. Oh, by the way, come work with me. No, 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 no. And the reason why I say no is, if you even look at that engagement, if you look at the engagement on that post, on those posts, there's zero. There's zero, right? Like no one's clicking on it, no one's liking it, commented on it, no one's doing anything in any kind of way, no engagement in any kind of way, right? You want to make sure that you're adding value. You want to make sure, you want to educate, you want to truly empower, you want to encourage, you want to engage with people. Okay, so through your content, that's why you're showing up on social media. That's where all the millions of people are. That's where your ideal clients are. Okay, and so that's the first C of the five. The first of the five C's: content. Okay, the second C, and by the way, these are everyday pieces. These are everyday business activities that you want to make sure that you're doing, because they are the ones that are going to yield you the highest return. Again, there's lots of things that can be done in business, but if you find yourself shying away from any of these five C's that I'm sharing with you today, it's a distraction. It's a distraction, and they are secondary. You can do them if you're not at a place where you can delegate, you can do them, but make sure you're hitting these five things first, because these are the things that are going to make the biggest impact in your business. Okay. So the second C is conversations. Conversations. You want to be having conversations, right? And these conversations can be taking place in the DMs, right? Direct messenger, whether you're on Facebooked. What's that? Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. You want to make sure that you're having meaningful conversations. And guess what? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's not about you. That was the secret. It's not about you. It's not about you. I know, right? You're like, what? What do you mean it's not about me? So we often want to tell everyone about our service or our program, right? We just want to, we like vomit just all this information on them because we want to just get them out. They need to know what we do. But what's most important as you are having these conversations and developing these relationships with your ideal client is that you want to make it about them, because it is. It is about them. You want to find out more about them. Like, what is it that they are having challenges with? What have they tried before? Why do they think it didn't work? Okay. And so how are these conversations starting? Going back to that first C, through your content, right? You're starting conversations with people who have engaged with your content. They've liked it, they've loved it, they've commented on it, whatever the case may be. If they are your ideal clients, not your Uncle Joe, who may not be your ideal client, right? If Uncle Joe is your ideal client, great. But Uncle Joe and Aunt Susan, they're always going to be like, yeah, I love it. They're gonna love all your stuff. So if they are your ideal client and there's any type of engagement with that post, they liked it, they commented, they put a heart, they put whatever the case may be, then guess what? You're starting a conversation with them over in the DMs, direct message, messenger, right? And you're learning more about them and their needs. Okay. So again, this conversation might sound something like, thanks so much for commenting on my post about hibiscus leaves. Or thanks so much for commenting on my post about the hibiscus, or comment on the post, my hibiscus ginger lemonade post about how hibiscus leaves naturally help to lower your blood pressure. Something to that effect, right? And then you would continue. Do you mind me asking how long have you had high blood pressure? Or do you happen to have high blood pressure? Okay. And they will tell you, like, oh my gosh, yes, you know what, I was just diagnosed 2 months ago, or I've been in blood pressure medicine for the last 10 years, whatever the case may be. And now, now the doctor put me on medication, and I hate medication. I want to get off, but I don't know how. Well, that's good to know. That's good for you to know, isn't it? That's good for you to know, particularly if that's your area of expertise with your holistic health coaching business, right? And so I would then ask them, what have you tried? What have you done other than taking meds? And it's just a very genuine, curiosity driven approach, because I want to know, what have you done? Right. So you're going to ask questions that I want you to imagine if this person was standing in front of you, right? If you happen to run into someone at the grocery store, and maybe you had a T-shirt on that says "I'm a holistic health coach" or whatever. I don't recommend you having that T-shirt, but let's just say somehow they knew, and you guys started talking about naturally lowering blood pressure. What are some of the things that you would ask them? Right? You wouldn't just, hopefully, you wouldn't just vomit all of your, well, this is what I do, and this, da, 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 da. Ask them, have a conversation with them. Right. So that's the same conversation you're going to be having online in Messenger, except for that you're typing and you're not necessarily voicing. Although you could use that feature, you can always send them a voice memo inside of Messenger, okay, or inside of the DMs, right? And so, if you ask them, what have you been doing other than taking meds, or whatever the question is that you ask them, and they say something like, oh, nothing, my doctor said that I should change the way I eat, but I don't even know what that means. You're looking for the gaps. You're looking for the gaps. That's a gap. If he or she says, my doctor says I should change the way that I'm eating, but I don't even know what that means, that's a gap. You have successfully established a gap, right? That you can feel. You can fill that gap, right? But if you're not asking questions, if you're just telling, you have no information about them, and what you're telling them may not even land the way you really need it to land with them, because that might not be what they're needing in that moment. Okay. However, if you're asking questions, so this is all about mastering the art of asking questions. And if you're asking questions, they will share with you what it is that they need, so that you're not having to guess, right? And then again, you're looking for the gaps and how you can fill those gaps for them. Okay. And from that's the second C. That's the second C. From those conversations that you're having in Messenger, your intention is then to move those conversations or invite them to your conversion event. That's the third C, conversion event. Okay. Now, conversion events can look all kinds of ways, right? These can be live, which is preferential, or they can be recorded if you have a recording. Okay. But again, live is always best. And so what these conversion events might be are, they might be a 1 hour masterclass. Many of you guys have attended one of my master classes. It might be a 1 day, it might be a 3 day, it might be a 5 day series or challenge, whatever feels most aligned, right? Whatever you feel most aligned with. You want to make sure that, number one, it's on the books, right? It's in your calendar, it's scheduled. Your live event, your live conversion event is scheduled. At least one. I always recommend for my clients to always have two live events scheduled on your calendar at all times, right? Because here's the thing, you don't want to be scrambling like, oh my God, when's my next conversion event? You're having this great conversation with them in Messenger, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to get more information. And you're like, let me think about it. Like, you don't want that to be the case. You want to just very easily be able to transition into inviting them into your live event. Okay. You should always have conversion events scheduled. Always, 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 always. Okay. So you can easily plug people into them. All right. And then the second thing is that you want to make sure that they are high converting conversion events. I don't want you to just have webinars or events, master classes, challenges, whatever the case may be, just for the sake of saying, oh, I did it, I did a webinar. No, 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 no. Does it convert? That's the question. Does it convert? And these are not conversion events full of fluff and puff. Okay. No, no, no. You want to make sure that you are bringing the goods, right? You are serving the meat and potatoes because how else are they going to be able to determine if they do, in fact, want to invest in working with you if you're giving them fluff and puff? Right? That's old school. I will just tell you that's so old school. It's so outdated. It's kind of giving early 2000s. It's not what you want to be doing. You want to make sure you're giving them meat and potatoes. Okay. And I'll just say this, if you have been holding webinars or master classes or challenges, whatever the case may be, whether it's a 1 hour, 1 day, 3 days, whatever variation. And again, there's so many variations. If it's been filled with lots of fluff and puff, then I really want to invite you to revise it. Okay. This is one of the things that I help my clients create so that they are enrolling clients consistently. You want to have a high converting webinar event, 1 day, 3 day, five, whatever the case may be, that's full of meat and potatoes to the point they're like, oh my gosh, like if I got this much value from attending this with them, I can only imagine what it must be like to work with them. That's what your attendees should be thinking when they are sitting in your event. Okay, so conversion events. And if you happen to have a live one coming up, make sure that you have or if you don't have a live one coming up, if you don't have a live one coming up for whatever reason, make sure that you have a replay to a really, really good one that you've done previously. Okay, that had a high conversion rate. Don't just be sending them a replay that didn't convert anyone. We don't want that. We don't want that. As long as you know that it did, in fact, convert someone or someone's plural from an attendee, so they attended it, and now they are now a paid client. Then okay, that's the one you want to send, provided you don't have a live event to plug them into. Okay, so that's the caveat there. So that's the third C, conversion events. The fourth C is consults. Consults. Oh my goodness. Here's the thing, if you don't have consults on your books, so if you don't have consults on your calendar, your income and your growth, the growth of your business becomes stagnant. Becomes stagnant, right? You always want to have consults on your books. Now, here's the thing. If you're just starting out, you're the one that's going to be doing, all the consults, and that's fine. That's perfect. And let me just make a clarification really quickly. Consults, also known as sales calls, also known as enrollment conversations. All of them are the same thing. Okay, all the same thing. I personally call them enrollment conversations. But let's just face it, enrollment conversations doesn't start with a C, and this is all about the 5 C's. So I went with consults. I went with consults so that it made it easy for you to remember. All right. So consults. Now, initially, like I said, you're going to be the one that's doing the consults, the enrollment conversations. That's great. That's fabulous. Awesome. After a while, you'll be able to hire someone to do that if you choose to. You can hire a sales team if you choose to. You may not ever want to hire that out. I love having enrollment conversations because I learn so much about my clients. But guess what? So here's the thing: if you do decide to hire someone, uh, if you, along with someone else, are both doing consults, right, or enrollment conversations, then that's another way that you can definitely increase your revenue quickly because you now have two people instead of one person doing the same job. So yay, right? So you're able to enroll twice as many people into your program and or service. So here's the thing: if you're having consults, if you're listening to me and you're like, okay, check, check. Like I got it. If you're having consults, and that's a check mark, but they're not converting into paid clients, then we know that we need to do some tweaking with the enrollment conversation. Okay. So it's not just about like, oh, I have consults on my calendar. Can you have an effective enrollment conversation? Are you having consistent, effective enrollment conversations? That now becomes the question. Okay. So and that's not to say that everyone that you get on a consult call with or enrollment call with is going to enroll. No, that's not. No. But if you're not enrolling at least one out of five, then we need to look at the conversation and make sure that we're shoring that up because it should be at least 1 out of 5 once you become skills proficient. Okay. It's a skill, just like anything else. Okay. So, okay. And again, if you're enrolling 1 out of 3, you're golden. You're rocking and rolling. If you're enrolling 1 out of 4 conversations, you're great. If you're enrolling 1 out of 5 conversations, you're awesome. You're on the money, man. 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7, 1 out of 10. we got to tighten up some things. And that's okay. And that's okay. Okay. Because what that's telling me is if that's happening, if you're converting, if you're having 10 phone calls, right? And it's taking you 10 phone calls to convert one person, it could be a couple of things, but it might be that you're not attracting your ideal clients, which all speaks to your clarity around who your ideal client is and your messaging, right? Which is a whole nother conversation. So let's say that they're definitely your ideal clients, right? So you're attracting the right people, but if you're not converting them, what that's telling me is your process is good, right? You're putting out good content, you have clarity with your messaging, you're having effective conversations in the DMs, right? That's leading you to inviting them into your conversion events. They're attending your conversion events, but they're falling through the cracks with that consultation call or that enrollment conversation. Okay. So that's the piece that we need to tighten up together. That's what that means. And then, and then that leads me to number five. Number five, which is conversions. Conversions, what we all love, know, and love, right? That's what we love. Conversions. That's when you have someone who's gone through the steps and now they have crossed over from being a potential client to an actual paid client. They've enrolled in your program or your service. Yay. All right. Because here's the thing. The conversion piece is really the most important piece because that directly affects your bottom line. It directly affects your bottom line. If you're not having effective enrollment conversations or effective consults, right? If you're not getting consistent conversions, then what that means is that your business isn't growing. And ultimately, what that means is that you're not making the level of impact that you're wanting to make because you're not able to serve because you're not converting. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to run through the 5 C's again, the 5 key business activities that yields you the greatest return. Okay, so that's content. From you posting content that leads to conversations in the DM. From the conversations in the DM, you're going to invite them to your conversion event. That's number 3. 3 is conversion event, which then leads them to consults, which is number 4, which then, of course, turns into conversions, which is number 5. So content, conversations, conversion events, consults, and conversions, meaning they are now paid clients. Okay. All right. So if this was helpful for you, let me know. Let me know. Hop on over to the Holistic Health Facebook community and let me know. I think what I'll do is we'll make sure that the link to the Facebook community, the Holistic Health Empowerment Facebook community, is linked below in the show notes. I'm in there at least once a day answering questions for you guys so that you're able to make the level of content, so that you have clarity, so that you can make the level of impact that you're wanting to make and share your gifts with the world. So for sure, hop on over there, pop your questions in there, and I am happy to answer them. Okay. All righty, my dears. So until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.